Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Community Church. Our building is on Shaver Road in Portage, Michigan, on the ancestral lands of the Peoria Potawatomi people. We pay our respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. It is the little brick church with the rainbow flag and the Black Lives Matter banner out front because we believe that love is love, and it is our responsibility to dismantle white supremacy and build a beloved community that benefits us all. Our church is served most Sundays by our minister, Reverend G. Ludwig McCartney. We are a community on diverse spiritual journeys, and on other Sundays, we enjoy hearing different points of view from guest ministers, lay leaders, and guest speakers. During the month of October, we are centering on broadening horizons as a spiritual theme of our year focused on revolution. My name is Kimberly, and I'm happy to be your lay leader. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We're excited that you tuned in. We invite and encourage you to attend the Zoom coffee hour following the service to get to know us better. You can find the link to coffee hour in the comments section of this Facebook video toward the end of the service. To learn more about our church, including our programs for children and youth, and other opportunities to connect with us during the week, visit our website at uucommunitychurch.org. Special thanks to everyone who is helping to make this morning's service possible. Our musician, our tech team, and you. Last night was our annual auction, but of course was different this year because it was on Zoom. The stewardship committee was so creative in adapting to this format. Many of you wore costumes. The bidding went just as smoothly as it does in person. And thanks to all who donated items and services and those who purchased. We raised $4,080. That is a big success with the limitations we faced. This morning, Friar Lake will light our chalice.
As I light the chalice for today, would you please join me in saying the words of our free and chosen faith? In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share.
Our reading today is from Ken Nye. A knock at the door, late morning. The dog makes a racket, but the two stand their ground. They are on God's business. I know before I open the door what they have to say, that God is the answer. I pull the door open, try to be pleasant, but please don't talk too long. Two women, earnest, polite, sincere. There's a message simply in their manner. They ask if I am worried about where the world is headed. I answer, yes, I am. They ask if I read the Bible. I answer, no, I don't. They ask if I believe in God. I answer, yes, I do. And then I become infused with the same spirit that brought them to my door. I say that I believe there is only one God, worshiped in many ways, called by many names. I say that the God they worship and the God I worship are the same God. They doubt that might be true. They say if I am worried about the future of the world, there are answers in the Bible. I say there are answers in the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the poems of Whitman. God, I say, is the God of all, and the word of God, therefore, is found in many places. There is no language that God does not speak. They say people should turn to God to solve the problems of the world instead of turning to man. I say that God works through man and woman, that the problems of the world can be solved only by people, but only if God wants them solved. They read me something from the Bible. Then it dawns on me, I'm doing what they came to do. We are saying different things, but the same things. God called them to my door. just as God called me to speak instead of ushering them away. After the door is closed, I reflect. There are people in the world who bring their beliefs to other people's doors with guns and machetes in their hands. These two gentle souls shared their hearts and listened to me. We are blessed today to have our member, Darby Fetzer, as our lay speaker. Darby is certified in emotional intelligence in education and in corporate practice. She tailors science-based emotional competencies to specific work sites and situations to create sustainable solutions. Her training is supported by experience in wellness coaching, 16 years of practice as an occupational therapist, facilitation training, and 14 years serving on the Board of Education for Schoolcraft Community Schools. Darby has a bachelor's degree in occupational therapy and a master's in organizational development. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that lovely introduction, and thank you, tech team, for all your support. And so here I am in the guest bedroom in our basement, which is also Bruce's office. And so you're in the inner recesses of our world here, and only through COVID could I have so many people in my home at the same time. Kind of an unseen benefit. So today, as you know, we will be talking about how to have a courageous conversation. And again, I want to welcome everyone, welcome friends. I am delighted to be your guest speaker today. This may be a little different experience for you. It may feel a little bit more like a workshop because that's what I do. I provide workshops in emotional intelligence. I'm a facilitator. So, like I said, may feel a little different today. The abstract for today's program is this. How many times have we avoided saying what's in our minds and in our hearts because we are concerned about how that information would be received? In today's talk, we'll uncover the elements of courageous conversations with the purpose of being equipped the next time we encounter an opportunity to share our truth and be congruent with ourselves. So when Kimberly first reached out to me and she said, Darby, would you be interested in providing a church service in October in the theme of taking risks? I said, sure. And I thought, what could I do? What would be a new topic that I could explore that would be related to emotional intelligence? And it just fell into my mind, which I think is a God thing, how to have a courageous conversation. So here we are today. Why I think this topic is important? Because I personally believe that American society as a whole has taken a giant step backward in our humanity toward one another in recent years. And it's very concerning to me. So the ability to have a heart-centered, courageous conversation, I believe, is a step in the right direction toward greater humanity. A talk on this topic also engages my noble goal, which is expanding loving community. The Noble Goal Workshop is another emotional intelligence event. So today I'll be drawing from two primary sources of information. One is Julia Fenton's work on courageous conversations, and then the other is Crucial Conversations, Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High. So what is a courageous conversation? In courageous conversations, each individual is encouraged to express their views, both openly and truthfully, rather than defensively or with the purpose of laying blame or being right. Out of this dialogue comes a new and shared understanding. Why I'm personally interested in this topic? I'm a work in progress. I have not arrived on this. While I'm getting better at having courageous conversations, there are times when I find myself reverting to old patterns of beating around the bush, dropping a conversation bomb, or avoiding a conversation altogether because the thought of it is so darn uncomfortable. So please know that I do not consider myself an expert on this subject, but an aspiring student. So I would like to make a distinction early on. While courageous conversations and civil dialogue are very, very close cousins, for purposes of today's conversation, I'd like to make the distinction that civil dialogue is when we're wanting to express a differing point of view on heated, multi-perspective topics, such as those that relate to politics and religion, for example. Civil dialogue will be covered in a separate 1-hour interactive Zoom workshop on Tuesday, November 17th at 7 p.m. So what characterizes a courageous conversation? The stakes are high. Results could have a huge impact on the quality of your life. Opposing opinions and strong emotions. Examples of courageous conversations are critiquing a colleague's work. How many times do we just gloss over that and say, oh, you did a great job, instead of telling them, you know, maybe some of the finer points that could be conveyed. Talking to a coworker about their offensive behavior. Yeah, we run for the hills before we do that, right? Giving your boss feedback about his or her behavior, high stakes, you better believe it. Asking a friend or family member to repay a loan. Resolving custody or visitation issues. Ending a friendship. Most of the time I've done that rather poorly. Dealing with a rebellious teen, having the talk. That didn't go so well in my house either. Coming out, River talked about that last week. If you haven't had a chance to watch that recording, I would highly recommend it. It was exceptional. Asking a roommate to move out, confronting a loved one about a substance abuse problem, asking for help when you realize you can no longer do it alone, or letting family know about your last wishes. These are all courageous conversations. So I'm going to share a few personal examples. One is after just being reelected to the school board for my 4th term, realizing that I needed to sit down individually with our superintendent and 3 building administrators to inform them that for personal and professional reasons, I was stepping down. The stakes were high. I knew that that would affect my relationship with the school community for a long time. Opposing opinions. There was attachment to having me there. I've always been considered a friend of the district. And and there were strong emotions, tears, both sides. Another example is I had a recent meeting with my siblings to let them know I need additional help to take care of mom. Stakes were high. I thought, how is this going to affect our relationship? Opposing opinions? Thankfully, not so much. Once they got more of a clear read on what was going on for me, they kind of understood. Strong emotions, mostly from my end, because the stakes were high for me. It was a matter of getting my life back or not. So there's another emotional intelligence EQ workshop that I do. It's called Apply Consequential Thinking. And in this workshop, I touch base on the importance of courageous conversations without going into any real detail, which is what I'll do today. But we talk about things like the importance of using I statements, taking ownership for our thoughts and feelings. This is how I feel. For less weighty conversations that we would normally have in a household, this is kind of a cute template. It bugs me when, I wish you would. Again, using that I statement and being succinct. We also talk about the importance of timing, right? Is it a good time for not only you, but that other person? Do they have time for that conversation? And what's your state of mind? And what's theirs? You know, are they in a space where they could be receptive? We've also talked about the kiss, kick, kiss. Um, my mom used to call that the sandwich technique, and I used to use that, but anymore, people are wise to that approach, and they can feel somewhat manipulated. So, my intention is to just go for the topic at hand instead of using, you know, that tactic. So let's get to the meat of it today. How does one have a courageous conversation? There are 5 elements that I'll talk about, and that again is from Julia Fenton's work. 5 elements of a courageous conversation: clarity, curiosity, coherent, congruent, closure. So 5 C's. What I appreciate about this approach is it doesn't read like an instruction manual, but rather focuses on one's intentions. So this is a visual. If you notice, center in the middle is written as they would in the King's English, like in Great Britain. So centering is at the heart of our courageous conversations. Throughout any courageous conversations, it's important to manage our emotional energy. If you're leading the conversation, you want to be grounded and in the moment. It will help the person you are talking to remain in this state also. Make sure you breathe deeply, stay calm, and stay centered in your energy. Notice if you go off track and recalibrate if needed. Centering. So the first element around centering is clarity. Be clear on your reason for the conversation and the desired outcome. So many times, courageous conversations falter because there's a lack of clarity about the real issues. Get to the root cause of the problem and address this instead of focusing on the symptoms. Get clear on the root cause. Make sense? Second element is curiosity. Cultivate an attitude of curiosity and discovery. And I love this line here. Pretend you don't know anything and learn as much as you can about the other's point of view. And I think it's important to pretend because we think we know, right? We have so many assumptions in our mind that we have this sure sense of knowing. So we have to really volitionally pretend, which is really what we need to be doing. So watch their body language, listen to what they are not saying as well as what they are saying. Don't interrupt unless to clarify, and let the other person talk until they are finished. Pretend you don't know anything and actively listen for the other's point of view. Don't persuade, defend, interrupt. Be curious, be conversational, be real, and listen. Listen, the art of listening. The third element is coherent. Make sure that you've heard and understood everything that has been said by repeating back to them what they said. This will ensure the other person feels that they have been listened to. Reflect back so the person feels heard. The fourth element is congruent. When the other person has said everything, then share with them how you see things from your perspective. Help them to see your position without undermining their own. Seek clarity on how the other person came to that conclusion and how it differs from your own stance. Respectfully share your differing view. And lastly, co-create closure. is the fifth element. Now that you both understand each other's point of view, it's time to co-create a solution. Brainstorm and come up with ideas that you both think might work. Find something the other person says that resonates with the solution you desire and build on this. If the conversation at any times becomes adversarial, go back to inquiry, asking questions, and getting further clarification on their point of view. The more the other person feels listened to, the more they will engage in co-creating a solution with you. Build a solution that works for both of you. Remember, for any situation you encounter, there are always multiple perspectives. So be empathetic of the other person. Always be curious about how they see the situation and be aware of how your own judgments and bias may be impacting what you are observing. Such a critical point. When you appreciate that others have a different perspective from you and you can start to see things through their eyes, you're able to make more informed decisions and in so doing, increase engagement. So if this were one of my typical interactive EQ workshops, we would be pairing up right now. I'd say find a partner and we would practice this. I would say, imagine having that courageous conversation you need to have with that person. And then of course, keeping it confidential, right? So again, what I like about this approach is it doesn't read like an instruction manual. Simple basic guidelines and setting of intentions. It allows for personal interpretation and modification. It's heart-centered. And it's generative toward building a new shared understanding and solution. And the approach aligns with so many of our UU principles. First principle is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The second is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The third principle is acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. The fourth is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The fifth is the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. So one could argue that this approach aligns with all of our UU principles, but especially with the first five. And it reflects our niche, or niche, however you want to say it, which is building bridges, inspiring life. Having a courageous conversation is not necessarily easy or comfortable. One of the most courageous decisions you'll ever make is to finally let go of what is hurting your heart and soul. Is there a courageous conversation you need to have? If you'd like an electronic copy listing the 5 elements of a courageous conversation, simply send your email request to uucommunity@gmail.com. Again, I'm going to repeat it in case you need to remember it or write it down or take a picture. If you'd like an electronic copy of this listing of the 5 elements of courageous conversations, simply send your email request to uucommunity@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darby. Our lives have been graced by many gifts. If you desire and are able to donate to our church, which still has the same expenses as pre-COVID-19, there are a few ways to do that. You may mail a check to our building. You may give electronically through our church website, or you can give using the Give Plus app on a smartphone or tablet. Your donations are sincerely appreciated and allow us to continue carrying this life-giving message into the wider world.
once heard a powerful story about a man who stood in his truth with such conviction of who he was, he would not be moved. Someone stepped out of the crowd and said, "Are you Martin Luther King?" He said, "Yes, I am," and the well-dressed men spit on him. Then King took out his handkerchief and wiped the hate from his suit. He gave it back to the men and said, "I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I see your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. But I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you." I once had a powerful story I used to carry around. I thought it was you all this time that held my spirit down. But now I know the truth of who I came here to be. You are my angel in disguise and not my enemy. So I thank you for the part you played in this dance we had to do. I give you back your own true love. I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I feel your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. I give you back your freedom now. I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I feel your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. I give you back your own true love. I believe this belongs to you. I am clear as we're standing here. I believe this belongs to you.
Please say these words with me as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the warmth of love, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Oh, Nick, I loved that last song. That was wonderful. And to finish Ken Nye's words, wouldn't the world be Eden itself if we, Christians and Muslims, Jews and Pentecostals, Catholics and Orthodox, and everyone all went door to door from time to time and had conversations like this? Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God. Oh, that we realize the door to God's kingdom is the one upon which visitors knock.